Live. Great. All right. Let me get the recording software up and we'll dive right in. Dave, you taking Starberry? Right?
Not in my top 20, not in my top 10.
No?
It's actually pretty good for the 2000s.
You added some people to the big board, Dave, and I was a little puzzled because I don't think any of the people you added are getting picked.
Yeah, but I figured I should put them on there. They had good decades.
Yeah, but like, is anybody picking Steve Francis today? I don't think so.
I mean,
no. If we're picking like franchises, like 20 players, yeah, maybe.
Right. Yeah. If you're rolling full squads, maybe, but you only got 5 guys, 2 bench. I mean, I don't think Steve Francis is falling off that board. I might as well put J.R. Smith.
Hey. Don't disparage Steve Francis.
Talk about a franchise that just might be one of the all-time great underachieving franchises, the Orlando Magic.
Oh, man. They really – but they cut it. That was a tough blow, man. You signed these 2 superstars and, you roll the dice. It was worth the risk, but the prize, the one that they really wanted was Tim Duncan. But then you get T-Mac, you get Grant Hill. Grant Hill's healthy for, I don't know, they gave him like a season and a half maybe.
Yeah.
That was tough.
What's crazy is because like all I remember for whatever reason, the only part of Grant Hill's career I remember is his years with Orlando. Like we do a sports trivia contest every week and I do research for it. And I was like, Grant Hill with Phoenix and Detroit? Like what the hell?
Phoenix wasn't that bad. I love those Phoenix teams though.
Yeah.
They just couldn't get past the Spurs.
Yeah, that was the problem for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Phoenix especially. That was just their boogeyman. They couldn't get past them.
Man, back-to-back MVPs, Amari Stoudemire,
Yeah. I
think the craziest thing about Grant Hill is he missed so much time with injury, but he still played till he was 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's crazy. Yeah, so we're good to go. I'll bring us in. So all right, so 3, 2. Dave, let me ask you a question. You ready for this?
Shoot.
Okay. If you could monstars yourself with one NBA player, sap all their talent, and become them, you don't change physical appearance. You don't look like LeBron James. You don't look like Steve Nash, but you get their abilities. Who would you choose?
I think I'd take Curry because that skill set translates better to my body type than everyone else. Like I can shoot and handle the ball. Like if I take LeBron's talents, I'm not going to run anyone over. People are going to just stuff me at the rim.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That is fair. You
got to have the physicality to go with it. Yeah. Otherwise, it doesn't work. That's true.
That is a perfect segue to bring in our guest and ask him the same question. We got Celtics writer Josue Pavon on the show. Josue, welcome to the program.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Man, that's a great question. I think he took my answer. That's a good one. I don't want to dunk, though. That's the thing. Steph can get up there, though. He just doesn't do it often. But I want to, who's a good one, actually? Maybe Kemba. Something like that. And I'm thinking for selfish reasons because that was sort of the player I sort of wanted to be, in high school. I was more of a setup guy, point guard, strictly point guard, defense. I was like Marcus Smart pretty much. But before Marcus Smart was making 3-pointers. Yeah. Mid-range all day. I wasn't big on threes, but I would just play hard defense and can be the point.
My concern is if I chose to be a Kemba or a Kyrie or a Steph Curry, it'd be great to have those ball handling skills, but I would 100% hurt myself playing like they did. I would tear something. I would break something. There's no doubt in my mind. So
I can tell your friends, yo, I got this. Trust me, I can do this, man. I got powers now.
Yes.
Twist your ankle up.
All of a sudden, the clock would strike midnight, and I'd look like Carlton from that episode of The Fresh Prince where he throws.
That'd be your body being like, yo, we're not ready for this. Don't stop.
But if I had to pick, I would probably go. I'd probably go Klay Thompson just because I feel like he has a similar skill set, but I wouldn't injure myself playing like him.
It's effortless. Yeah, there's another one. Ray's a good one. Yeah, sharpshooters, you're good. You're not gonna go crazy trying to cross people up or trying to dunk on someone's neck. That's a good point.
Remember that game where Klay Thompson scored a crazy amount of points and only dribbled 4 times? Do you remember that?
Wait, was that the time when he scored 38 points in the second half? I think it was.
Yeah, he had a crazy game and only dribbled 4 times because all he did.
Yeah, I think that was the one. He had I think it was 6 3-pointers. He got to the free throw line, but he barely dribbled. Yeah.
Dude's ridiculous, but I would go with that. So what we're doing today is that's interesting that the three of us pretty much chose players who have nothing to do with the decade we're talking about. But that doesn't mean that we can't have a little fun with it anyway. So what we're doing today is a 2000s basketball draft. We most recently did a 90s one with Jeff Perlman, and he, Dave, I think we can agree, beat the living hell out of us in that one. So we came in underprepared there. But now we're doing the 2000s. So let me ask you guys a question as two bigger, I'd say more dedicated basketball fans, probably more knowledgeable basketball fans than I am. So I'll defer to you guys. What were kind of the hallmarks of the 2000s in the NBA?
Oh man, that's a good question. I would say like guys weren't really teaming up yet. I mean, that happened later on, right? Obviously, '08 Celtics and all that. But I mean, for teams like I felt like the dynasties of the Spurs and the Lakers, which happened at the very beginning. After that sort of trailed off, it was more about the underdogs, right? Like the Detroit Pistons, where it was like, okay, yeah, they have a few all-stars, but they weren't necessarily all-stars. They sort of blossomed into perennial all-stars together. And I think that was sort of the formula that teams were trying to put together. And the big was huge. Remember that? Remember that, guys? Like the center, if you didn't have a center, you're not winning the title. And then the Golden State Warriors changed all that. But yeah, like that was the thing. You needed a solidified big who was not only just someone who could give you double-double. No, he had to be like an all-star, one of like a top 5 center in the NBA. You had to have the perennial wing, obviously. You know, I think that still stands today. That's still every championship team needs that, in my opinion. And then it was sort of like, you know, more of a, I think, team-oriented, I guess, was the best way to put it. People's roles were more distinguished and carved out, I guess. It was easier.
Yeah, you had that brief period where, like you said, the Pistons beat the Lakers. The Lakers formed that, super team with, in their prime, but also sort of aging stars. And they lost, and it kind of left the NBA reeling a little bit. Like, all right, what does it take now? So you have teams, Shaq joined up with Dwayne Wade, and they won a title, but obviously Dwayne Wade was the biggest driving force on that team. And then you had, the Celtics formed the Big Three, which, like you said, kicked off that entire super team phenomenon. But
that was crazy.
I mean, it showed that it's what the Pistons did is not necessarily sustainable. It's more of an anomaly, but you can do it in the NBA. It's something you can do. It just takes a lot of effort to put that together. Right. And even in the cases where it looks like that's what you're doing, you're like the Raptors a couple of years ago, where you still have a bona fide superstar leading the way. So,
right, but it's risky though nowadays, right? Like nowadays of getting like veterans that are over 30 years old and trying to carve out a 5-year window. That's sort of like, that's not the norm anymore. Whereas that's what the Celtics did, right? They were successful in that. And then the Pistons, you look at their situation where they sort of waited too long to break that group up, right? You remember against the Celtics, what happened there, but even the season before that, it was like, well, maybe you guys should have broke it up then when you got carved up by LeBron James, this 20-year-old phenom. And yeah, so the rest is history. And they're still recovering, that's sort of the risk. Like you might be in that hole, you might be in that NBA purgatory for a decade before you can actually climb out.
Yeah, the Pistons could very well be one of the consistently worst teams in the NBA the past decade. If you looked at from just 2010 to 2020, like they've never been anything, like their best has been mediocre and nothing better. So Dave, what stands out to you about this decade?
I mean, I would just say I think Josue hit it on the head. I mean, the big man was super important. I mean, you had the three best players, or three of the better players in the decade were Shaq, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett. Those were all 4 and 5s. And I think the other thing is, you guys both talked about it, you had kind of like 3 teams kind of really maneuver through this decade. You had the Lakers, you had the Pistons, and you had the Spurs. And that was kind of like those were the 3 juggernauts from 2000 on. Obviously, the Lakers won 3 in a row early on in the decade. The Spurs won basically every other year in all the odd years. And you had, I mean, Shaq is also a big presence. He went to Miami with Wade and teams up and won it in 06. But, and then fourth big man I haven't even mentioned was Dirk. Dirk was in the finals in 06. He won in 11.
06, yeah.
Yeah, up 2-0. That was one of the first times we saw 2-0, and the Heat reeled off 4 in a row. So it was a really interesting decade, and it was definitely a lot of fun watching because it was really just great basketball.
Talk about a guy ahead of his time too. I love that you brought up Dirk Nowitzki. It was just like, man, who is this guy? Like we've seen Chris Webber do it, but not quite like this, right? This guy was like a sharpshooter. It was like, who is this dude coming out of nowhere? And is he like a unicorn? Is this going to be the future? Of course it was, right? We didn't know at the time, but
Yeah.
If you can't shoot nowadays and you're big, you're being an all-star is out of the question. Like that's not going to happen if you don't add that part to your game. I mean, perfect example. Look at the opposing big man against the Lakers. You know, Bam Adebayo. He had to really add that part to his game, and he did it the hard way. It would look, obviously it paid off.
Right. And before we dive into the actual draft, I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't at least touch on the passing of Tommy Heinsohn. He died early. We're recording this on a Tuesday. It's hard to lose track of all the days now. But Tommy Heinsohn passed away today. So I feel like we at least have to touch on that. Obviously, Tommy Heinsohn, I tweeted out today, probably the greatest homer of all time.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's the way. I think he's the reason they created that word. Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, you could not convince the guy of anything that was anti-Celtics. Like, even when the ref made a correct call, he still found a way to like needle him every single time. It was fantastic. Like, I tweeted out, and it was tongue in cheek, but honestly, like, there was probably a time where Tommy Heinsohn was higher on Rayful Friends than he was on Shaquille O'Neal. He was probably like, I'm telling you, this kid out of Kansas, he's going to be something special. And I know
Stiesma. Don't forget about Stiesma. I'm telling you, this guy. He has the eye. He has it. He reminds me of a young Bill Russell. Yo, Celtics fan. You couldn't tell fans nothing after that.
Yeah.
We had the next Bill Russell. Tommy just said
it. Friend of the podcast, Sopan Deb, tweeted out that memory of Tommy Heinsohn. Of course, anytime he lost it, I remember when I grew up watching the Celtics, obviously he was a staple of the broadcast, and he would give out the Tommy points, and I'd be like, I'd say to my dad, like, who do you think is going to get the Tommy point? My uncle, like, who do you think is going to get the Tommy point? Who's going to get the Tommy award tonight? Like, it was a real important thing.
You guys are like debating it.
But it's a tough loss because obviously he was an integral part of those broadcasts, and he was just such an important part of everything around the Celtics sphere for fans growing up who watched and loved the games, and it's not going to be the same without him.
Yeah, no question, man. It's like part of our childhood, those voices, hearing him and Mike call the games for so many years and hearing him fired up, it would get you fired up. And, it's funny. I used to, growing up, I watched a lot of games with my dad and my older brother. And it's funny because my dad sometimes he sort of got under his skin because my dad was like really mad because he's into the game. And Tommy's like complaining about some call that like we're not even paying attention to. It's just like, all right, Tommy, like, come on. Like, that was a bad call. Like, I mean, that was a good call. Like, you're making too much of a fuss about this. But then, and I actually told him about this and he thought it was funny. I'd catch my dad sounding like Tommy because, you watch it for so many years.
Yeah.
And my dad had been watching years before, I started watching the games. And, yeah, man, it's a tough day. It really is. It's a sad day. I got the news this afternoon. I just felt like my entire day has just been sort of out of whack since. And I never do this, man. I never wear something. I rarely wear something stuff. And I was like, I gotta rock it for my guy, Tommy, man. Absolutely. A legend, not only in the city, but in the NBA. And I don't know if you guys caught NBC Sports Boston tonight, but Mike Gorman was on, and man, I don't even have to tell you how special that was hearing him share the memories he has of Tommy. But he had a special request, and he's hoping that the Celtics, things like this and sort of they take some time, and of course, the NBA is right around the corner, but he's hoping that the Celtics can have a number 15 stitched onto their jersey for the entire season. I'm hoping that the Celtics could do that, or the NBA as a whole, in addition to that, could put together some sort of tribute for him because he really deserves it, man. He's been around not only this basketball game for so long, but he gave so much to it, whether it was as a player, as a coach, as a broadcaster, and as somebody who just spent a lot of time around the team for decades, whether it was just a conversation with some of the players or whether it was him talking to the team as a whole. I mean, he just couldn't stay away.
Yeah, and Dave, you were tweeting out some Tommy Heinsohn stats, and I think maybe you retweeted or quote tweeted something I saw about him, being one of the more underrated players, not only at his position, but ever.
Yeah. I mean, the one that sticks out is as a rookie in Game 7 of the Finals, he put up 37 and 23.
It's pretty good.
Obviously, but
not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Game, Bill Russell had 32 rebounds and 19 points. And you just think about the team, and you had Kuzi, Havlicek, Russell, and Heinsohn. It's like, how did that even make it to a Game 7?
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys both said it. He's a champion in everything he does. Like, he won as a coach, he won as a player. He's a Hall of Fame coach and player, and he's a Hall of Fame broadcaster eventually. I think he'll get in eventually, given the amount of time he's covered the Celtics. But I mean, that's the trifecta. I don't see how you could top that. And I think Josue, I think you're right. I think the 15 patch has to be on at least for the Celtics, if not for the NBA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no question. Definitely for the Celtics. Yeah, no, I hope they do it. I really do.
Two quick notes before we move on to the main event here. First off, when you said that thing about 7 games, Dave, it reminded me of the classic trivia point that somehow the '08 Celtics were brought to 7 games by the Hawks in the first round, and somehow
You guys are nervous. Don't lie.
Oh yeah, I was nervous about that. Like
I had a good feeling that morning. I was like, "There's no way they're gonna lose this game." But yeah, leading up to it, I was like,
Josh Childress is really about to knock us out of the playoffs right now. Like, are we serious? This is gonna happen.
If I see Smith make that mean mug one more time, man,
that was, thank God they got past that. It was never quite as close going down the road again. It was close here and there, but that was a real nail biter.
It was so funny though. Like 2 minutes into that game, it was like 14-0 Celtics.
It was predestined that they were.
It was like a matinee, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, I can just start my day. We're good. I can start homework soon." Like I was in school at the time.
The NBA knew. The NBA was like, "Yeah, this isn't going to be close. They're going to get whacked." And secondly, this has nothing to do with Tommy Heinsohn, but it's a Celtics note that one time when I was probably like 9 or 10 years old, guys, and it was a Celtics-Lakers game that was going to be on the West Coast. So it was going to be like 10 o'clock. I think it was a Friday night. And I told my parents, like, I'm going to sleep downstairs. I'm going to watch the game. I pulled out my sleeping bag, had all my stuff ready to go.
During school break, I used to love when that happened. The West Coast trip, because I could stay up and watch the West Coast trip.
Yes, I loved it. And I had my favorite bottle of chocolate milk ready. I was good to go.
Parents couldn't tell you anything. You're like,
the entire game.
Cool. You missed the whole game?
Missed the game. Celtics lost. Missed the whole game. Fell asleep. Right on the floor. I woke up and I was like, "You gotta be kidding me! I'm so happy about this game."
What was that, warm milk you had? Damn, bro.
I think it was. My plan was it was still in the fridge. I was like, "All right, no, but like halftime, I'm gonna go grab it, chug it, come back, be ready." And that didn't go to plan. So anyway, the actual draft portion. So it is a snake draft. Dave has the first pick. I have the second pick. Josue has the third. That's the wheel pick. It's a snake draft. You'll have the third and the fourth. I'll have the fifth. Dave has sixth, seventh. I have eighth. You know the drill. So we're drafting 5 starters, 2 bench players, and a coach for our team. So, Dave, with that being said, you have the first pick in this draft. Why is it Tony Battie?
Batman.
Give you an answer on that. This is a tough pick because we talked about all the great players, and because it's a 2000s draft, I'm not sure I want to take LeBron because he wasn't at the height of his powers right away. It took him 4 or 5 years. But that being said, I'm gonna take oof.
I don't recall oof being on the board.
Coutinho Mobley.
This is just URI alumni draft. Mobley and Lamar Odom first off.
Lamar Odom.
I'm gonna take Tim Duncan first.
Okay.
I think he was the best player throughout the decade. Even if he wasn't the best player by the end, he was the best player for all 10 years. And I think no matter what, he fits in no matter what style you play. He can play any position, he can cover anybody. And people forget early on in his career because later on he kind of deferred to Parker and Leonard and Ginobili. But this guy could score, he could block shots, he could do anything.
He's pretty good, that Tim Duncan.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick.
I'll tell you.
I guess he's good for number 1.
Yeah, he's all right. I mean, it's not the first time that I've wanted Tim Duncan on my team and he hasn't gone to my team in a draft, if you know what I mean. But
I got a question for you guys, and I maybe he'll make it actually. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should hold on to it. Whatever. I'll ask you guys. Where's Jordan going? Realistically, if we had a deep draft, realistically, like
okay.
Well, 2 seasons, he's a 20-point scorer, no?
That is true. I'll put it this way: if we could build a D League at the same time, he'd be on my D League team.
Oh wow, 2-way? Would be a 2-way player at least?
Yeah, you'd be a 2-way player. I'd give him the Romeo Langford treatment.
Give him
like that.
He'd be the who was the other guy that went from Boston to Maine this year a lot?
Tremont Waters.
Yes, thank you, Tremont Waters. He'd be my Tremont Waters. Yeah, he'd come up every now and then if we need him. He had part ownership of the team too, so whatever, it's fine.
You know, Jordan would do like something. I don't know, something shady for like some players would just like quit or like teams would start like the team would just waive 2 players for no reason and just make space for him. Like something, he'd find a way. He'd find a way.
He would. No, he would absolutely do that.
He's not playing in Maine. He's like, hell no. Get that Red Claws jersey away from me.
He wouldn't make it. He wouldn't make it halfway to Maine. He'd leave and start playing with, I don't know, some like Vermont baseball team or something. He wouldn't even bother. So Tim Duncan was very high on my list. He was one of the guys I was weighing at number one if I had the top pick. But obviously I don't, and I could take anybody but him. So I'm going to take Kobe with my pick.
Ooh.
I feel like if you're talking consistently great throughout the decade, I mean, he started the decade winning 3 championships in a row, and then he ended the decade winning a championship. So you want to talk about consistency. Oh, and in between, he won an MVP and was incredibly dominant on the court. Guy took a lot of shots, missed a lot of shots. That's fine. But you know that you always have a chance going down to the wire when Kobe's on your team.
That's right.
Obviously. But you always have a shot with Kobe. He was just an unbelievable player, and he'll only be more heralded as time goes on. So, I got to go with Kobe.
No, it's a great pick. You know what else I like about him, too? He's not afraid to slap around Smush Parker, you know? Like, that's the kind of leader you want. You guys don't want to, like, get into your face, you know, telling you you're not a real NBA player. Like, that's the kind of guy who's going to turn a franchise around, damn it. I like it. That's a great pick.
I like it. As tough as it is for a diehard Celtics fan to not pick a Celtics.
I know, especially the 2000s, man. That was brutal.
That is
so. And I remember, too, telling my friend, because obviously the Celtics weren't that relevant at that time. And I remember being like, I don't know what it is, man, but every time I watch the Lakers, like I always like, you know, if it's a great series, I'm always rooting. I always catch myself rooting for the Kings or the Trailblazers. I'm like, what's up with that? My buddy looks at me and he's like, it's because you're a Celtics fan. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, sure.
It's like in your blood. It's the Celtics.
Yeah, it's like naturally. Celtics weren't even like, we don't have a dog in the fight, but it's like, go Kings, go Blazers. Like I was always, yeah.
No, it's real tough. I understand that, and I always find myself even before LeBron got there. Like even when they were bad, I was like, I hope they win 3 games this year. Like I just can't stand them. Like I hope Jordan Hill is their best player this year. That's what I hope for them.
I'm just praying for another Celtics Lakers chapter. Come on, basketball gods, you got this.
I thought we were gonna get it this year too.
I think we will. I thought we were gonna get it last year, man. I really thought. I was confident. I really was, but.
I'm still confident they would have given the Lakers a better fight, especially since the Heat had 2 of their best players get hurt immediately in that series.
Yeah, I just wanted to see it play itself out, man. Those guys, they have to get that down. We'll have this conversation. We'll pick this up another day, but those guys, I just think stepping onto an NBA Finals platform are just going to do something to those guys. I really do. So
I think so. I do. So Josue, you have back-to-back picks here. You got a lot of, I would say, a lot of good players still on the board.
Yep, absolutely. And to piggyback on what I was saying about guys who are going to hold their teammates accountable, who's better than Kevin Garnett, right? I mean, this guy made Big Baby cry. I mean, come on, let's face it. Like, he made him Big Baby before, like after he was already called Big Baby. Like, you know, he's going to make sure we're all on the same page. He's going to probably call some plays out there. He's got that outside touch that's ahead of everyone's time. Like, man, attitude, tenacity, like even before Kevin Garnett came to Boston, we already all knew that, right? Like he was such a presence. Like I don't think you'll see another Kevin Garnett in a long time.
No, you won't. He's just simply one of the best. I mean, another MVP. Probably took him too long, quite frankly, to get that MVP. But the heart and soul of the Celtics championship team, and really the only guy that comes close in the past 20 years to what he brought intensity-wise is probably Marcus Smart. Obviously, Marcus Smart's not as dominant a player as Garnett was. But there is really nobody else on this list. You want to talk about talent, you can parse words here and there, but there's no one else you would want to go to war with than Kevin Garnett probably. I mean, the guy was going to fight his last breath out there. Also was in Uncut Gems 10 years after the decade ended, but still, great actor as well. Fantastic actor.
Oh, that decade was incredible. I mean, obviously when he got hurt, he was still good. He was still KG, but he just wasn't quite the same after 2009. But yeah, man, no question. His tenacity, that trash talking, that I'm not gonna dap you up before the games, like that's, I don't know, man. Between us guys, I feel like it's getting a little out of hand. And this is the one thing that stood out to me. And I rarely bring this up because they actually won that game. But Game 7 between the Celtics and the Raptors, I'll never forget it. Jason Tatum, like, dapping up Kyle Lowry, like, smiling. I was like, what is this, man? This is Game 7 we're talking about. So, yeah, I'm going KG all day, man. That's someone that you think of 2000.
Kyle Lowry made me remember how much I hated him in that series.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was so surprised because I was even shocked to see Kyle Lowry do it because he seems like he's on that same page where it's like, yo, I'm not your friend until whenever, like we're on the court here. But hopefully the NBA will get back to that. But yeah, he's number 3, 4th pick, man. I gotta go D Wade. D Wade from 2 years in, I had never seen a player like Dwayne Wade. And he's just a rare breed in the way he goes about scoring and that nice touch he has and the way he can attack the rim. It's just so fun to see, man. So yeah, that was easy for me, man. When you said 3rd pick, I said, oh, KG and D Wade, no question.
Talk about guys I would love to have seen them play together. That would have been crazy. KG and D Wade on the same team.
Yeah, that would have been fun. That would have been fun. And it's crazy to think that Miami Heat team, how they were able to get together that quickly. You know what's another thing about the 2000s too? In terms of championship teams, like experience was valued way more heavier than it is now. Like you had to have a team racked full of veterans, and it was like that was so much more important than, let's say, a group of talented guys who were, the median was 27 years old. Like nowadays, that's not necessarily as important as opposed to just pure talent. Like if you get talented guys who have only been in the league for 2 or 3 years, like no one's going to say, oh, those guys aren't ready to win a championship,
Yeah, no, Dwayne Wade's a great pick because looking at this list, he probably would have been my next pick. Just thinking about, where, it would have been nice to see Kobe play with Dwayne Wade in his prime, but obviously we didn't see that happen. So, yeah, this is tough. I think I know what position I'm going to go for next. I just don't know which guy I want to take. Yeah, I feel like I gotta go with this guy just because of how dominant he was in his position. It would have been nice to see them again. Speaking of guys playing together in their prime instead of when things were a little bit too much down the road. I'm gonna go Steve Nash.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I knew it. One of you guys gonna draft him. I was like, yo, Steve Nash still there?
I got to go with Steve Nash just because I think of the point guards in this list, it's 1A and 1B, him and somebody else who I know will get drafted soon anyway, but he's, multiple-time MVP winner. Like we talked about, I think it was, I can't remember if it was off air, it was on air, but I think it was on air, and we talked about the Suns just couldn't get past the Spurs. That's the big problem with Steve Nash's career.
Mm-hmm.
He had that one boogeyman in front of him the whole time with the San Antonio Spurs. And it's unfortunate because him, Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion, that team was loaded. And just, that's the thing about Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan and the Spurs is they're too good. You can't get past them. They formed that wall, and that was it. But Steve Nash, one of the greatest players of this decade and one of the greatest in his position all time. So him and Kobe in the 2000s, I feel way better about than this is going to be fun Sports Illustrated cover. Dave, before I throw it back to you, can you explain why Rashard Lewis is on this list?
I wanted to build up the depth. I figured I'd give everyone about 10 names.
You trying to trick me? Like, what were you trying to do with Rashard Lewis? Like, Rashard Lewis, I remember being good in like 2000, whatever year the Magic beat the Celtics. I remember him being really good.
That was 2009.
Yeah, so he was good that year. Like, you might as well.
Yeah, they went to the finals that year.
Where's Hito Turkoglu? Why don't we put him on here?
If you remember though, Lewis got a big contract. How do you think people get big contracts? They earn them.
Dude, Evan Turner got a big contract.
He earned it. He didn't get that much money, but he earned a big contract. And
4 for 70 or something like that?
Rashard Lewis to Evan Turner. Come on, get out.
My favorite is when they let him go. He says to tweet out, thanks to the fans, the team, and especially the team. Hey, thanks for that money.
Yeah, for real.
Like, I did not deserve $50 million. Thank you. Like,
there's a lot of guys who got big contracts, confoundingly gotten big contracts. But Dave, Rashard Lewis is there if you want him with the next pick.
All right, we both know I'm not going to do that.
Come on.
All right, so my first pick, I can't believe he's still on the board. I'm taking Shaq.
Okay. You got 2 centers?
Duncan's a power forward. He was the center in the later stage of basketball when it transitioned to small ball. I take Shaq because he was dominant, and I have 2 of the best big men. I mean, I think Garnett's probably definitely in that conversation. I'm not sure where you rank them between the 3 of them, but Shaq won 4 championships in the 2000s. He was in like 5 finals. So, I mean, how can you go wrong with that? And then my next pick, because it's back around, I'm taking Allen Iverson. Got to get me some scoring. Get me the guy that can handle the ball. And there were few players like him that could cross guys up like him. he really kind of dominated with mainly just even a crossover. Like you see guys behind the backs, and he could do whatever he wanted, but the crossover was all he needed. And he had that step back. He gets to the rim at will. Great shooter from all over the court. He had the swagger.
One of my favorites of all time, man.
Yeah.
I love when he used to get in like over like what is it? Like free throw area and do that fadeaway. But he could be either behind the free throw or in front. Like those little like 7-footers. He would just drain it like a jump shot. It was like it was all over the court he could score. And he wasn't as consistent from behind the arc, but it was like every other spot like was money almost. Like or at least it looked like it. Yeah. Off the dribble. All scoring off the dribble. It's like if you couldn't stay up with him, keep up with him, you're toast. Like fun to watch.
People talk about it all the time with Rozier, but only a few guys have the live dribble. And I think it was Brett Brown that talked about it. And Allen Iverson had a live dribble. Like, you stay in front of him no matter what he did.
I just wish he had more of a pull-up, like, like the what Kyrie does or Kemba, like that pull-up I think would have been as opposed to dribbling it out because as he got older, obviously it takes more time, to dribble. And then by the time you get a good shot and then if you're Allen Iverson, you don't want to come off the bench anymore. And then, that whole thing happened.
Hey, Dave, Terry Rozier got a big contract. I expect him to see on the 2010s list.
Yeah, no question. They love him over there.
Yeah, they love him. Terry Rozier, he'll be the first point guard off the board.
Rafe LaFrance ever was. So
it's very, very funny. He's better than Rafe LaFrance. I don't want to hear anything from you about Rafe LaFrance, right? You don't deserve to say his name.
Speaking of big contracts people don't deserve.
Yeah, well, I don't need to take this from you. All right. Yeah, I don't need to take this from you. All right. So it's back to me, and really, what else? What should I do here? It's tough. I got Kobe. I got Nash. I might save the big man for a little bit, but I don't know. See, it's tough. But I feel like even though it's not the whole decade for his statistical record, I feel like I can't sit here in the third round and not take LeBron James. So I'm going to take LeBron James. Because even though he was only around for half the decade, he still got the Cavaliers to a finals by himself, which who would you guys say was the second best player on that team? Big Z, Mo Williams. Like who was the
second? Say Z.
Yeah.
Mo Williams in the later years against the Celtics when he couldn't have Mo Williams was one of not great. Not great, in other words.
So, yes, they did end up getting pasted by the Spurs, but LeBron James still, it was obviously evident he was the chosen one, and it was evident that he was going to be one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And just these 4 or 5 years of him being excellent in the league is enough for me to see him in the third round and think, I still think I'll be able to get enough out of this kid. And hey, he gets to learn under Kobe Bryant and Steve Nash. So that's very good for development.
He'll be fine. He's good.
I think this kid's got a future. I do. I do think he has a future, but I didn't want to let him slip too far. And I know I need big men, but there's a little bit of depth there. So I feel like I can get at least one of the guys I want in the next round.
All right. Not bad.
Can't go wrong with that pick.
Have you heard of this LeBron James fella?
I from what I heard he's going to be a good role player.
I think so. I heard he might be washed now.
I think that's what was it? I think Ricky Davis said. No, was it Ricky Davis who said that? Someone said that. Someone was like serious. They were like, yeah, I think he's going to bring us. He can be a good role player for us. He can really help us out his first year.
Talk about poking the bear.
Wait, was it Larry Hughes? Who said that? I'm trying to remember who said it.
Yeah,
it does sound like something Larry Hughes would say.
They shipped him off right after.
They shipped him off. Right?
Yeah, he got legit mid-season. They were like, all right, this guy's a real deal. See you later.
All right, yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna pull up that roster right now. That'll come to me.
So Josue, you have back-to-back picks here. You got KG, you got D Wade.
Oh man, all right. Let's see. You know what? It's tough at the bigs. I feel like I need to take a big right now, but I'm like, I don't want to leave these guys on the board here. I got a couple options here. Let's see. No, I'm just gonna get a big later. Screw it. I got back-to-back picks.
You do.
Oof. You know what? Give me agent number 0, Gilbert Arenas.
Woo!
That's my point. Don't sleep on Gilbert. For 4 years, that man was a monster. Man, scoring machine. I'll take that Gilbert. Pair him with KG.
Yeah.
Make him love defense. KG will make him love defense, man. It'll be fine. They'll be great together.
I guess
He'll play mind games with opposing point guards that he didn't know he could play because of Garnett. Like, it'll be great.
so. Here's my only question: Why Gilbert Arenas over Jason Kidd?
So I was thinking just pure like I just wanted more of a scoring point guard, honestly. Like when I could tell you alluded to him earlier when you were like, "There's another point guard over there," but I was just like, I don't know. And honestly, to be honest with you guys, I never liked the guy. I don't know why. Yeah, of course, I'm biased. He played for the Nets, but like just his style bothered me. It always did. He was talented, but something about his style just bothered me. It was like he carried himself like he was like better than everyone. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I can't put a finger on it. It was like I like someone like Mark Jackson, but I just didn't like someone like Jason Kidd's style. It's weird. I can't explain it.
No,
Maybe it's just the Nets thing.
I totally get that. I've never been a huge like personal fan of Jason Kidd. If we're talking like my favorite players that I would draft, I'd have Baron Davis first off the board this decade because I loved Baron Davis. I played NBA Live 05 with Baron Davis's Golden State Warriors, and I went 81-1. It was a great year. But I do like Gilbert Arenas. And full disclosure, when I said the other point guard that was on Nash's level, I meant Iverson, not Jason Kidd.
Oh.
Definitely not Jason Kidd, but
that was before Iverson was picked. Yeah, you're right. That was before. Okay.
But
in my head, as I heard Iverson, I got out of my head like, don't pick him. You can't pick him anymore.
No, it's all good. But other than Jason Kidd, I feel like there's no one else who can contend with Gilbert Arenas on the remaining list of point guards. That's for sure. I mean, there's good ones. I mean, like Billups and like Marbury, if you really wanted to pick somebody. But I feel like, yeah, if you were going to go with a point guard there, Arenas or Kidd would have been my pick. But I definitely get Arenas because he was definitely the more prolific scorer and could do more than Jason Kidd could.
Yeah, definitely. Like again, I'm thinking about those like his prime years. Like Jason Kidd, obviously the longevity was Gilbert just doesn't even he pales in comparison. But those years, it's easy to forget, man. This guy was a 30-point scorer and was just like you didn't know. Any given night he'll drop 50. Another night, I think he already had a career high 62, I believe. One night, I think his 60 something was his career high. But it was like these consistent like 40-point explosions every now and then. It was just fun to watch. And obviously his career, took a turn for being who he is.
Right.
But it's unfortunate. But those years, man, that guy can ball.
He had a great nickname, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Agent Zero. It's a good
Next pick, I'm going Celtics, man. I'm going the truth. Give me Paul Pierce. Give me this 26-point scorer who is so easy to forget because of where he plays and because the team isn't as successful. But man, like Paul was just, again, I watched a lot of Pierce. I'm a little biased, but didn't people really sleep on him though? Like even after Kevin Garnett came, people were like, "Oh yeah, this guy's good." But I was like, "No, like you don't understand. Like when he was scoring and he was the only guy that had to carry his team, you saw a different player. You saw a complete player, a complete scorer. I mean, he got that nickname for a reason. It wasn't just a one-night thing. I just think Shaq knew he was that good. I mean, Shaq knew he was good, but to see it up close and see him drop 42 the way he did against the Lakers was like, okay, no, this guy's legit. And I don't think Shaq would force it or fabricate just because he beat them, like Shaq doesn't give props to anyone. Like even to this day, like how many times you watch it Inside the NBA, he'll be like, "Yeah, that dude's all right." What he gave Joel Embiid a hard time? Like he's so critical with guys, especially younger guys.
He still hates Dwight Howard, right? Is it Dwight Howard that he?
Right, yeah. Someone called him Superman. He lost his shit, but that's the thing. Like it's like, wait a minute, you have to earn this, and for him to go out and give Paul that name in his third year, like he never does that ever. Paul was 21 at that time, so yeah, man.
I feel like Dave and I are very neutral Celtics observers. No stake, no skin in that game at all. But I'll tell you, people slept on Paul Pierce. That's for sure.
For real, man.
There's discussions of like, is Paul Pierce better than this player, that player? And people are like, oh no, Paul Pierce, come on. People forget just because he never won an MVP or he never, this perennial first team all first team NBA guy.
Yeah.
People just forget how great he was. And we witnessed it. And like you said, Shaq does not give out praise all the time. And especially to his opponents, his contemporaries.
No question, yeah. And the way he would like he would be top 5 in a lot of statistical categories, and just people just didn't talk about it. Maybe because there wasn't social media back then, but it was like this guy was top 4 in steals like for like 4 years in a row, top 5 in steals. I believe 1 year he was like it was top 5 in threes. Like he would consistently rank in 3-point categories, and people were just like, oh yeah, he can score, but he's not really a 3-point shooter. I'm like, what are you talking about? When the man retired, he was the 4th all-time NBA 3-point scorer. Like now he's like 7th because it's been like 7 years, but people are shooting from half court nowadays, so they're catching up. But yeah, man, like when Paul retired, he was up there, and he still is. He's still top 16 scorer of all time. Like to be number 16 all time in scoring, and 6 years removed from when you retired, still be top 20. Like, yeah, I mean, people sleep. And for someone like Paul, we saw you give him star talent, and he'll take the team. He'll put the team on his back. And I remember getting into like consistent arguments with friends, being like, "Nah, man, this is Kevin Garnett's team now." I'm like, "Wait, what? You think Kevin Garnett's gonna come in? No, this is still Paul's team. Paul will still take the last shots. Paul will still lead the team to score, and he did every single season." So like, I think for Paul, he needed that, and especially throughout those years, if you add all-star talent, man, you're building a dynasty. Like that's how good he is.
I thought Dave was going to add there. I didn't know where.
Paul Pierce just walks right in. Damn, who's coming in?
That would be something if we just do it. That would be something. Dave, what are your opinions on the unheraldedness of Paul Pierce?
I mean, I think the thing that doesn't even get mentioned along with his stats, the toughness. I mean, the guy got stabbed outside and didn't miss a single game. He got stabbed like 11 times. I mean,
and on the court, who's getting to the free throw line so many damn times? Paul Pierce. Like Paul was a 26, 27 point scorer for like 3 years in a row because he could get 9 points from the free throw line every night. Like it was money.
And people always kind of look at guys and think, and even now with the draft prospects, they're thinking, oh, man, this guy's so athletic and this guy glides. Paul Pierce never was the best athlete. And he never glided. He always it looked like one of the old-fashioned cars, like where it takes a lot to get going, but where you want to go, he gets
footwork,
and he'd take that step back and then about it.
And if he got you on that up fake, forget it. He's going to the free throw line. And that's the thing about Tatum's game, man. Sometimes I see so much Paul Pierce in it, but I'm like, man, if he can get that to a science to get to the free throw line the way Paul used to, he'll be money. It's going to happen eventually. Like Paul obviously had to earn that, but I don't think barking at the refs every single night is the way to do it. That's the knock I have on Jason. He'll get there eventually, but when he adds that to his game, it probably will be this year. Get the free throw line consistently, that's when you'll see him become a 30-point scorer. He'll get 30 points easily every night.
Here's a trivia question for you guys. Do you know the highest that Paul Pierce has ever finished in the MVP voting?
4th? 5th?
Dave?
I would say 5th.
7th.
No.
The 2008-2009 season, that was the only time he was ever top 10 in the NBA.
Damn, he made what? One third team, right? Or a couple third teams? No, second team, excuse me.
And then this is according to Bleacher Report. This is right around the time he was in the Wizards. From the 2000, 2001 to 2006, 2007 season, he averaged 24.8 points, 6.7 rebounds, 4.1 assists, and 1.6 steals per game for that.
1.6, man. I'm telling you, he was top 5 in steals so many times.
Yep.
And then nothing too. People used to say like on the national, when you see something on the national stage, and people you're just like, "What are you talking about?" Drives you crazy, right? And they'll be like, "Yeah, the thing about Paul too, this guy doesn't want to play defense." I'm like, dude, he plays defense.
Are you watching the games?
You clearly watch the Celtics twice or 3 times a year. This is one of them. It's like it used to drive me crazy those first 3-4 years of Paul's career.
So before I swing it back to you, Dave, I'm going to totally unscientific take here. Paul Pierce got to be one of the best players to never finish in the top 5 of MVP voting. No doubt.
Yeah, I think
absolutely. And I think too, one other thing about him, and I mentioned how he wasn't super athletic. It's amazing that him and Dirk were kind of the same in that regard. They both had the mid-range, and neither one of them were great athletes, but they got to the hoop, they got to the foul line, and they both shot crazy high percentages.
Well, it's actually my pick next, and I forgot that because I already wrote it down. But it's funny you mentioned Dirk because that's my next pick. I'm taking Dirk, my first big man. And like we alluded to earlier, it's nice to have a big man who can shoot the ball. And kind of like you also mentioned, Josue, he's kind of a progenitor for those big man shooting guys that came and are now a staple of the game. And talk about absolute daggers of shots. I mean, Dirk Nowitzki's shots, like that jump shot, it feels like it takes forever, like you're watching it in slow motion, but every time he seems to stick it.
He would like launch it like that. It was weird the way he would launch it.
Yeah. It was such an unnatural shooting motion. And I'm glad he didn't get his championship this decade, but he did get it soon into the next one. And he got
that one, man.
And he got the Mavericks to the finals, and he sure earned that one, like you just said. Like he fought for that. And talk about guys who they definitely get their praise, but I feel like the chorus should be louder for Dirk.
Yeah, no, I agree. The longevity speaks volumes, especially in the West, right? And the Dallas Mavericks were relevant. I mean, they were always in there. Mark Cuban was always getting his teams, getting the guys that they needed. And man, talk about squeezing out a championship when people least expected it. And that was a promise he made to Dirk. He said, "Look, just stick around a couple more years, keep yourself in shape, and I promise you, I'll get a team together. I'll bring 40-year-old Jason Kidd in here. We'll do this." And he did. Sean Marion, like, man, to knock off that Miami Heat team and to make me so happy because I didn't see that coming at all. That was a good time.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I was really happy that NBA final because I was like, I guess I got to sit here and watch LeBron and win the damn championship. And nope, I was wrong.
And Rick Carlisle was like, all right, so Dirk's retiring. I need to get another international generational superstar. And he did. So good for Rick Carlisle.
I think these guys were watching Luka when he was like 13 years old, man. Like, I'm not exaggerating. It's crazy. Like,
yeah, it's crazy. It's insane. So yeah, Dirk is my pick. My first big man. David is back to you. You need some shooters, Dave.
Well, I'm gonna start that with my first pick. I'm gonna take Ray Allen.
Probably a good choice.
Oh, dumb. I think you're gonna say Ron Mercer, bro.
That's what I heard. Ron Mercer. Was that what you said?
You said Ron Mercer, bro. Yeah, put Ron Mercer.
Matt Bond first. But the Red Mamba's retired now. I'm gonna go Ray Allen. I mean, he's one of the best shooters, if not the best shooter in NBA history. Quick release, and I think people forget how great he was at getting to the rim too. He never had the strongest handle. Like, it was always very good, but it was never elite to me. But he still got to the rim at will, could finish through contact, and I think people forget because the last 6 years of his career, he was really just a role player for the Celtics and the Heat because that's just who the team needed him to be. It wasn't that he couldn't do it. So I'm going to take Ray Allen with my first pick. And then the second pick, this is where it gets challenging. I'm going to take...
You still need some shooters, by the way.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, Ray's doing all the shooting.
They're going to double Ray Allen, and then what are you going to do?
Hey. Anyone that can stay in front of Allen Iverson, be my guest.
Fun fact, Tim Duncan holds the record for the worst three-point percentage and fewest three-pointers made in an MVP season.
So who's covering Shaq on your team? Dirk?
What was it? Who's covering Shaq? I don't care. Who's getting out on the wing on your team, Dave?
What do you mean?
Who's going to guard my shooters?
How many shooters do you have? Steve Nash, okay, Allen Iverson, both a wash.
What are you putting Shaq on Kobe out there at the arc?
Ray Allen covered Kobe in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, right. I don't know about that.
Enough of that crap.
Kobe's got a few rings to show you from this decade. How dominant he was.
Does, yeah. I'm gonna take Tracy McGrady with my other pick. I'm gonna downsize a little bit. I'm gonna go 3 guards. I'm gonna take McGrady, dominant scorer for a lot of this decade. Obviously struggled with injuries and inconsistencies towards the back end of his career, but he could shoot, he could create his own offense, and he was just dominant in Orlando, man. It was a scary thing to watch, especially when he put up, I think it was 61 on the Celtics or 81. I can't remember. No, 61, I think it was. But it was. I mean, he's just when he got going, there were a few guys that could score like him, and it's a shame that kind of his body let him down at the end of his career. And he also had that awful reputation of being kind of like a playoff killer. His team's never won anything, but Tracy McGrady fits really well, I think, on this team.
I like Tracy McGrady a lot. I think one of my favorite highlights of all time is his 13 points in 33 seconds.
Oh man, that was crazy.
Which is just
he was so good, and no one really talks about him because he's not quite in that realm with Kobe and Paul and Ray,
Yeah.
even Allen Iverson. Like, he's just not in there because he didn't do it long enough. But he was just as good at his peak as a lot of those guys. Not that's why they're elite great, and that's why T-Mac was just great for a few years. But he was still very good.
Yeah, no question. That's true.
For sure. No, I do like T-Mac. I think, he wouldn't be the first Houston Rockets superstar who was a bit of a playoff killer. So, he's not the only one. What was it?
Whatever do you mean?
I don't know what I could be getting at there. Perhaps we have to wait till the 2010s before we discuss more in depth about that player. But I do like T-Mac. I will say you definitely added some shooting there between Ray Allen and T-Mac. So it's definitely a more formidable shooting lineup rather than Duncan, Shaq, and AI, who those guys aren't exactly spotting up from three. Ray Allen and T-Mac will have no problem doing that.
If you want to try to defend Shaq in the post, let me know.
Yeah, I think I have somebody who might be up to the challenge. And I'd say might because he's a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, and that is Ben Wallace.
Yo, I was thinking about Ben. Damn it.
Ben's about 8 inches shorter than Shaq. That's okay though.
Dave, I asked. I don't care. He's still a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's got more grit than Shaq's ever had. But Dave, I don't know if you remember the answer to this trivia question, but let's see if I'll quiz you both. Ben Wallace would have won 5 straight Defensive Player of the Year awards if it wasn't for what player?
Wasn't it Bruce Bowen?
It was not Bruce Bowen.
Oh.
Ron Artest.
It was Ron Artest.
Damn.
Ron Artest broke it up. I think it was 2004 maybe was the year?
Yeah. You know what's funny? He recently talked about the Mouse in the Palace. Yeah. He said that was in the back of his mind and that Ben Wallace, how did he put it? It was one of those situations where he gave him a hard foul, but he didn't mean for it to be as hard as he initially, and then Ben was getting ready to come at him. And he was just kind of like, oh, he's mad. And he kind of just like, oh, whatever. I don't care if he's mad. And that was like sort of planted the seeds for the big, fight. So it was kind of crazy. He was talking about it recently. And he was saying how going into that game, because this is like the 11th game of the season, he was thinking about how Ben had just won it again after he won it the year before. So it was like personal. He wanted to win it that year. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that even
would
have even made a difference if that stops the fight or not. But yeah, he mentioned it.
There's a great, I don't know if you guys have watched any of these, but SB Nation has a great series called Rewinder on YouTube. And they looked at the Mouse in the Palace, and it is crazy how, the Pacers were really putting together a great team, and that team looked like it might have aspirations. That was like Reggie Miller's last run.
That was the year, yeah.
Yeah, that was the year for the Pacers, and then that fight completely torpedoed the entire thing. Yeah. I mean, it was self-inflicted, obviously, but they
guys they hadn't played together. Artest was there, and then Artest is out obviously for the year. Steven Jackson missed like 60-something games. I think they were like 7-2. So this is really early in the season.
Yeah,
like can you imagine? Like, I mean, nowadays we probably see the same thing though, right? Or worse, probably get kicked out of the league nowadays.
Oh, nowadays, yeah, you'd at least be out for the season, at least. And
yeah, but you think they kick him out
of the league? Probably not.
It'd be a debate.
I think they has zero tolerance on this stuff.
Yeah, the funniest part of the whole interview, I laughed so hard. They got back to the locker room and they said Jamal, right? Jamal Tinsley was like infamous for this, for like just saying stuff that people be like, what? Like just always having jokes, whatever. He was just like sitting there, he was just like, man, that was crazy, man. He turns to Ron Artest and he goes, "Yeah, you think we're in trouble?" Ron Artest and Steven Jackson just started dying. Like, I literally laughed out loud. It was like, in trouble? He goes, bro. He literally at that time he goes, bro. I don't know if we're gonna have any jobs. If we're gonna have jobs after this, like it's a wrap. Like they were like, they couldn't. Them themselves couldn't believe what had just happened.
I didn't see that live because I was only probably about 9 or 10, but I saw the highlights on SportsCenter after.
Yeah, I didn't see it live, but I literally I remember. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I think they still have it, but I just never watched it. ESPN News. It was a channel like half hour block. It would rotate, and I watched 2 hours of that half hour over, and the whole half hour is usually about sports altogether. That entire half hour was just about the fight, and I just kept watching it over and over again. I never seen anything like it.
I think the lesson to be learned is don't throw things at basketball players.
No.
Wouldn't recommend it.
That's not what your ticket's for. No.
No. So Josue, you have back-to-back picks again.
All right, let's do this. I need a big. I like this guy. Everyone thinks of him in his days in New York, but I always think of him in Phoenix. He was a beast. Give me Amari Stoudemire. Before the apostrophe. Young.
You said Damon Stoudemire, right?
Oh, yeah, imagine. I liked him, but no. That's not what I meant. Oh, man. That what? Bonzi Wells, Wallace. That team was stacked. I thought of Rashid, but I need more defense. Sorry, Rashid.
No, I do love Stoudemire, though.
I thought Wallace, Sheed, Stoudemire. That was my thought process. All right, give me him, and then I'm going to go – wait, so I have a wing, right? I have Paul. I have Arenas. I have –
D. Wade. KG.
Wade. That's right, Wade. Wait, I didn't pick my 5, though, right? I saw
you got KG, D. Wade, Gilbert Arenas, Paul Pierce, Amari Stoudemire.
Oh, okay. I do have my 5. Well, shit, give me my 6th man then. Ginobili, Manu, Mr. 6th man himself. Oh, this team is stacked, guys. Look out. What? He's Paul Pierce with the left hand. That's what he is.
And if you have any bats in the arena, he'll take them out.
Oh, see? Fearless. That's what I need. That's what I need. Because you know Kevin Garnett. If the bat flew in that – he's out. He's running the other direction. I don't care. I know he's tough, but he ain't that tough. You know Garnett's going to run the other direction. No glove either. No glove. He smacked that. Oh, that was crazy.
That was nuts. I think Manu is definitely a great pick. And I have a tendency when we do these drafts to look at just taking the best players, but I don't even think of who would actually be really good off the bench? Who's not going to complain and be pissy and not have but Manu Ginobili is, like you said, one of the best 6 men of all time. And it's a shame. I don't know how many times he won the award. I think he's only won it maybe once or twice, but he should be like Lou Williams level 6th man of the year winner. He should have more than that.
Yeah, I feel like at that time the NBA was trying to recognize other 6 men, a different 6 man every year. But it was if this guy's crushing it and clearly he's making a difference, I think he should just win it every year.
It's crazy how the Clippers have accounted for 7 of the past 14 winners or something crazy.
How do they have 2 nominees? So that's a 7th man. That doesn't make sense though. You can't have 2 6 men. No, pick one, NBA. You can't have 2. Clearly they don't care nowadays. But
no.
Yeah, Trez and Lou. I love Trez.
Trez, Lou, was Jamal Crawford before them. Jamal Crawford did win, right? I'm not crazy. He was 6th man of the year, right?
I don't know if he won it, but he was definitely a candidate.
Okay. I knew he was at least a candidate. I can't remember if he won it.
Yeah, I think he did win it. Yeah, I think he won it in 18. Or was that Lou? I confuse those two, man.
I don't know. Lou wins it Lou.
No, if he won it wasn't 18. Because this was when he was younger. Yeah, I think he won one.
Lou is preordained 6th man of the year. That dude's he's at least always in the final 3. He's never worse than final 3. 6th man of the year. Jamal Crawford won it in 13-14 and 15-16. So of the last 7 winners, 5 of them have been Clippers. But the funny thing is, one of those is Lou Williams, but on the Raptors.
That's funny.
So 2 Crawford, 2 Williams, and then Montrezl Harrell won it this year. Eric Gordon, the only one who was the non-Clipper.
He used to crush the Celtics when he was in the East, man. Lou Williams. Remember that playoff series against the Sixers in 2012?
Yeah,
he was a beast in this series. I was like, this guy's good.
Just for our own edification, the 6th man of the year winners in the 2000s. We have 2000 was Aaron McKee for the Sixers.
He was a beast. Yeah, he was good. That was a good shooter. But he averaged 8 points. The 6 men back then weren't talented.
That was a different time. 2001 was Corliss Williamson for the Pistons.
For the Pistons, yeah. See, back then it was the 6 man award went to the guy who was the first one off the bench for a championship team.
2002 was the Bobby Jackson for the Kings.
Here on that one. That Kings team, they fell short, man. I was hoping to see the Kings and the Celtics in that finals because the Celtics made the Eastern Conference Finals that year. That's
right. Was that the controversial year with the Kings Lakers game? What is it? Game 6?
The Queens. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
2003 was Anton Jameson. who won it for the Mavericks, apparently.
I was gonna say he wasn't starting. Okay.
Ben Gordon in 04, Mike Miller 05, Leandro Barboza in 06,
Barboza.
Manu in 2007, Jason Terry 2008, and Jamal Crawford in 2009, actually, for the Hawks.
For the Hawks, yeah.
Yeah.
That team was good.
Those are your 6 man. Corliss Williamson, not going to be on my big board.
Corliss Williamson. I think his better days were in Sacramento.
I'll tell you, Ben Gordon was a guy who, like, looking back, I don't know why I thought this, but, like, Ben Gordon I was always afraid of. It's like, oh, my God, Ben Gordon on the Bulls. Like, he's going to hit so many threes. And the only thing I remember about Ben Gordon was that playoff game where the Celtics should have fouled him and they didn't, and he hit the 3 to send it to overtime. Yeah.
That's when Ray went off. Man, that was a good series. No Kevin Garnett. Yeah, I always thought he's gonna have a longer career. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I guess during that time there was just so many guards coming in that could do the same thing he could, and I think he got banged up and just never fully recovered. You know, there's just so many guards nowadays. You know, it's just tough. It's tough to latch onto a team, but someone like that, you know. But yeah, I guess he was never the same after he got hurt.
Yeah, no, but so instead of going with the reasonable approach like Josue did of picking actual bench players who could contribute off the bench and not get mad about it, I'm just going to take a guy that I want because it's the 6th round and I can't believe he's still here. And that is Vince Carter.
Yeah.
And I think that was Dave who just let out a sigh.
Dave, you slept on that one. I was deciding between him and Pierce. I can't have both of them.
I was going to take him.
Redundant. I can't let him slip. But Vince Carter, with coming off my bench, or if I switch him in with give Kobe a night off or give LeBron a night off or something, if I want to switch him in the lineup, and LeBron's still young, Vince has a little more experience. So, but Vince Carter is I feel like one of the more underappreciated players of his time. Yes, he got the whole big send off this year, and I think he's retired now, and that's been up in the air for a while. But I mean. He's responsible for one of the best gifts of all time too, with the dunk contest, with the "It's over." He's great. I mean, he was so dynamic and just such one of the most fun players to watch of his time.
Yeah, no question, man. He's someone that I think I don't want to call it a knock, but I feel like people sort of reduced how talented he was and just reduced him as just a pure dunker. But then he added elements to his game, right? He had a 3-point shot, which he never had before in his first couple of years, or at least consistently. Just became more of an overall scorer. And man, that team nearly knocked off the Sixers that year. You know, that was the year he went to go. It was controversial because he went to his college graduation, and then the same day he flew straight to the game. And it was game 7. And some people said that he shouldn't have done that. He should just stay at the game. And then he said, no, I'm not going to miss my own graduation. They ended up losing game 7 against the Sixers that year. But that was the year I felt like, okay, this guy's going to be like, he's not just a dunker, right? Because there was so many of those guys going on happening in the league. And obviously he was the best one. But it was just an overall scorer and just a really good player, man. Someone that I think also was a great leader. And he showed that clearly in the last 3 or 4 years of his career.
Can you guys guess the first year that Vince Carter made it to the conference finals?
Conference finals. Let me guess. No, because that wasn't the Raptors, right? That was the 70s.
His only ever conference finals appearance.
It's got to be one of the later years. Man, this dude played for like 7 teams, though. I'm trying to think.
Dave, you have any guess?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm trying to think of. I mean, he was on the Nets, but they never made it with him, with Jefferson and Kidd. They never did it.
Yeah, wait. So where did he go? Okay, let's do this. Atlanta, then what? Sacramento. I'm trying to go backwards here.
He was on Memphis, but they weren't good when he was there.
That's right, Memphis. No, it's got to be a team that like he's coming off the bench. Dallas.
Dallas was a team that comes to mind.
Wasn't Dallas.
It wasn't Memphis.
No.
I'll tell you who it was. It was the Orlando Magic.
Wow.
Oh, it's right. 2009. He was on that team.
Yep. The 2010 Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics, they lost in 6 games. That was the only time Vince Carter has ever been to the conference finals in his career.
That's right.
Poor guy.
Because he wasn't there in 09, right? Oh, wait, no, they didn't.
It was the 09-010 season.
That was the year that he went, right?
Yeah, this is the year that they went to. This is the year they went to the semifinal.
Yeah, Reddick and because that
Yeah.
wasn't the year that. Okay, yeah, he joined them after that, right?
And the farthest he ever got with the Nets was the semifinals when they lost to the Heat in 5, the year the Heat won the title, and they lost to the Cavaliers in 6, the year that the Cavaliers went on to lose to oh my God, the Spurs. And to his credit, he did get to 7 games against the Sixers in 2001 with the Raptors. Unfortunately, they lost in 7 games to the Sixers in the semifinals in 2001. So they've had the dumb luck of running into a lot of really good teams.
Yeah, but that's another reason why I probably don't like Jason Kidd. I felt like the Nets just constantly, you knew they're going to win the East, but you knew they didn't stand a chance against the Lakers. So it was just like, why are we doing this over and over again? Like, just get out of the way and let the Celtics give a shot. And you knew Jason Kidd needed help. Like, he couldn't just be him. He was the only, Kenyon Martin's making all-star teams back then, but like, he wasn't going to like take over a game for you, right? Like, Jason Kidd had to do everything, and they just had to keep striking out until they finally broke up the squad.
Yeah. No, Vince Carter, if it wasn't for Jason Kidd, he'd have a ring. I'm telling you right now, you're first. Dave, you have back-to-back picks.
Oh, man, this is tough. Because the top core of players is gone. I'm gonna reach a little bit here and try to go with someone I think.
Tony Gugliotta?
Googs.
Have again?
He is on the board if you want him.
I appreciate that, but you can have him. I'm a generous guy. I'll let you have him.
Thanks.
I'm going to take Sean Marion on my bench.
Man of the year, I think. No, he didn't win 6-man. He came close.
Give me a guy that can do everything. He was kind of like the prototypical kind of future NBA player where he could play 5 different positions, cover 5 different guys. He could shoot a little bit. He could pass. He could rebound. Great defender. And I think he fits perfect off the bench for me because I'm a little light on defense in my starting lineup. So I'll take Sean Marion. And then with my turnaround pick, I'm worried about getting shut out of the coaching battle here. So I'm going to take Greg Popovich. I'm going to take my coach.
You going to take your coach now? Damn. He's like, yo, this is an emergency button here.
Damn, Dave's drafting a kicker in the 2nd round.
For real. He's like, I need to save this thing.
I need it.
I'm stuck with like, Rick Adelman or something.
I like you going Pop over Phil.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
Pop is number 1 on my board for coach.
Yeah, Pop made the playoffs every year. He got the whole team to buy in. He played with a specific strategy. You knew exactly what he was trying to do. If you don't have a Kobe or Jordan whipping everybody into shape, that's how good is Phil Jackson? Let's be honest, Exactly. He loses control of his locker room a lot fair or not, he has a lot of big personalities. Like in Chicago, he did. In LA, he did. But you never see anyone on San Antonio show up Greg Popovich. Even Kawhi Leonard on his final days he didn't show up. That wasn't a Greg Popovich thing. That was an organizational thing.
Exactly. Right.
So it's never seen anyone show up Greg Popovich or not want to be there, no matter what.
Solid. All right.
That's good.
Is it me or is it you?
It's me. It's my next pick. I'm not going to go the coach route. I'm going to wait. I'm going to save that. I'm going to take my backup point guard, and that'll be Chauncey Billups. Fun fact, when I was doing some research for this, Basketball Reference did their all-2000s team in 2009. Chauncey Billups made their first team, which was a little surprising to me.
Get him in the hall. Everyone's hating on him.
That is ridiculous. Do you know that it's a fun little factoid? I think so. I know Dave knows the answer because I've said this trivia question ad nauseum. But Josue, there's only 2 eligible Finals MVPs who are not in the Hall of Fame. Do you know who they are? Chauncey Billups obviously is one of them. Do you know the other one?
So they were Finals MVP point guards?
Not point guards, just Finals MVPs overall.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, not point guards. All right. Not in the Hall.
Dave, do you remember the answer?
I'm trying to think of it. I don't know if I remember it.
It's not Rip, is it?
It's not Rip.
Because who won back-to-back MVPs?
No, Chauncey. So Chauncey Billups is the one that won it for that 04 season.
I mean, that 1 year, right? Yeah.
And then this other one was before that. well before that is the key there.
Okay. Let me think back.
I'm not talking like black and white film days, but
Right. Man, I'm leaving the 90s now.
Was this in the 80s?
it was.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm thinking 80s. Cedric Maxwell.
Indeed.
Yes. Shame on me. That took me way too ill. That was 5 minutes longer than it should have been. My bad.
Cedric Maxwell, indeed. It's only of the ones who were eligible, obviously, like not LeBron James and stuff.
That's so funny. I was literally like 89. I was like, okay, Pistons, no. I'm going through the dynasty of Celtics. No, wait a minute. Went back to the Celtics. I was like, Larry didn't get all of those. Yeah, man.
Phillips and Cedric Maxwell. Get them both in the hall, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, Chauncey Billups was one of the really key to that Pistons team, and
man, I want him off my bench. Damn it! I need a Mr. Big Shot. Come down.
Well, if you want, there's still some good point guards on the board for you, Josue. So, which one do you want to take?
No, I just like Chauncey. I don't know if I need a point guard.
There's still a lot of good players on the board.
There is. Hold on, let me see what we got here.
Rashard Lewis still on the board.
Please stop talking about Rashard Lewis.
He averaged 18 points in this decade with a 40% 3-point percentage.
I could not care less what Rashard Lewis did at any point in his career.
18 points a game.
You know what? Give me C. Webb. I love Chris Webber. You know why? He did a little bit of everything. He could shoot the ball. He could bang down low. He could pass. What an underrated passer, man. People slept on Chris Webber. Him and Divock, they used to have that it was a similar play that Paul and Antoine had over the top. Man, I love that team. You guys can tell. I really wanted them to beat the Lakers that year. But yeah,
pretty damn good.
Let me see Webb and get this man a title. He'll do it next to KG.
So who's the coach that's going to lead this team to a title?
Oh man, I'm thinking of an underdog here, but I'm drawing blanks here. I'm not gonna go Rick Adelman like this, like you mentioned.
Rick Adelman.
Adelman, I forget his name. I got his freaking face in my head with that white beard. I have his face in my head right now.
Yeah.
Yo, give me Pat Riley. Give me Pat Riley. You know why? Because he'll make some boss moves. If I need to pick up someone off the waiver wire, or if he's gonna sneak a trade that he knows is gonna benefit the team, he's thinking that long ahead too. Yeah, man, give me Pat Riley all day.
That sucks. I was hoping you would pick somebody else and let Pat Riley fall to me because I really wanted Pat Riley. But
Flip Saunders.
What was it, Dave?
Flip Saunders is still there.
That's a really good one, actually.
Hey, we do not speak ill of the dead.
Flip's a great coach.
Unless you're being sarcastic, yeah, right?
No, Flip's
coach. They're not being sarcastic.
No, I like Flip, especially with KG. He loved that.
I like Flip. Rest in peace, Flip Saunders.
But that MVP KG team to the conference finals. That team had no business being in the conference finals.
Yeah, but I think kind of going back to what Josue said earlier, you don't want Phil Jackson unless he has a Kobe or a Jordan type guy to coach, and I've got a Kobe or Jordan type guy to coach, so I'm gonna take Phil Jackson.
Yeah, you good.
I think I'm good with that.
Championship.
I know he had his issues with Steve Nash, but I think they'll work around that. So I like Phil Jackson here. So Dave, you already picked your coach, so you have your last player here.
I do, and I'm gonna go with a point guard here. I'm gonna switch it up. I was thinking going to wing or big man, but honestly, I'm not loving the options. I'm gonna take Chris Paul. I'm gonna take Paul. He's been really good ever since he came into the league, and it gives me ball handle in the back in case I need someone that's more maybe of a distributed mind rather than Allen Iverson, which is kind of get him the ball out of his way. So I'm gonna take Chris Paul here because I think he's probably the best value pick left that I see.
Wow, I'm a little surprised, but he's on the board for a reason.
He might be one of the better defenders.
He is. Great hands.
He is. No question. Yeah, of course he is.
great.
No, and I think he won't. I don't think he'll get. I mean, he definitely is not going to pass Stockton in either assists or steals, but he's going to get close, I think.
Yeah.
He might finish second in both of those by the time he retires, and people forget how really adept he is as a player. And I've never been a huge personal fan of Chris Paul because he's kind of like I'm trying to think, what was the comparison we made earlier of just a guy who, no matter kind of like a Jason Kidd, where not personality wise, but it just seems like wherever he goes, the team has a ceiling and it is a championship for whatever reason. And you could argue they could have won a title if he stayed healthy for Houston and they beat the Warriors and then they beat the Cavaliers. They could have won a title, but his health issues have been a problem also. So I like it though for Mr.
This past year, he's completely healthy, like all season long.
And he was a driving force for that Thunder team. So yeah,
he balled out.
I can't complain.
And there's also news too that they're talking about sending Chris Paul to Phoenix for Rubio and Kelly Oubre.
Yo, what's going on in Phoenix? Are they just panicking, or is this all just hearsay? Like, I feel like there's something stirring down there. Like they're trying to do something big. I don't know, but then I'm hearing like things that they wouldn't like. You know, like shipping off Booker to Minnesota? Like teaming up with Cat. Like what are you getting from Minnesota that makes you go crazy for that trade? Like, I don't know, man. I'm hearing a lot of talk about Phoenix. Yeah.
I don't see anything on Minnesota really that's super valuable. Like they're not going to move Russell. They're not going to move Towns. Like
what else? I mean, I know we're in wacky season where a lot of writers are just putting stuff out there, but I feel like because they went off the way they did in the bubble, and because Devin Booker, like I was saying this before the bubble started, like guys are going to hang out with each other and they're going to realize, oh, this person's cool. Hey, wait a minute, yo, you want to play with us? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think that's natural. I don't think it's going to go, that wasn't verbatim, obviously, but I think you're planting a seed for the future. And Devin Booker is one of those guys. Man, these guys went undefeated. Everyone knows how good he is, But if I'm Booker, I'm trying to recruit. I don't know what side of the table he's on. We'll see.
It's tough because Devin Booker is really, really good, but he's like a 2 or a 3. He's not the one. Like
he's not the one. Which leads me to believe that he's starting to think, maybe I need to be a 2 somewhere. Maybe I need to. So I don't know.
So before we get into some honorable mentions and close out here today, let's read off the teams again. Dave, your team is Tim Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal, Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, Tracy McGrady, Sean Marion, Greg Popovich, and Chris Paul. By the way, I just wanted to clarify, Dave, you wanted Ray Allen and not Allen Ray, right?
Correct. I think you're confusing the two names and swapping them back and forth. Understandable, but I'm going to take Ray Allen. I appreciate you checking in.
I'm just confirming Ray Allen, right?
Confirmed.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right. My team is Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, LeBron James, Dirk Nowitzki, Ben Wallace, Vince Carter, Chauncey Billups, and Phil Jackson. Josue's team is Kevin Garnett, Dwayne Wade, Gilbert Arenas, Paul Pierce, Amari Stoudemire, Manu Ginobili, Chris Webber, and Pat Riley. So that's some good teams right there. It'll be I'm interested to see how this poll goes. So before we close out, some honorable mentions at center. The only 3 left on the board were Yao Ming, Dwight Howard, and Jermaine O'Neal. I think Dwight Howard would have been my pick there if I had to take one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dwight Howard's the best big man left on the board.
Yeah.
Oh, man, why does Yao get so much, shade? Man, this guy was a perennial all-star. But no, let's face it. Let's be honest. He's boring to watch. He's not the funnest dude to watch. He wasn't the most entertaining guy to watch.
Yeah. At least Dwight Howard has a Superman thing going for him. So at least with that. Power forward, you had Rasheed Wallace, Elton Brand, and Pau Gasol. I'd say Sheed is definitely the top pick there.
Absolutely, yeah. Although Pau Gasol, really, really good for a long time.
Pau would probably be more of a pick in the next decade, though, I think.
I thought about Sheed before my Weber pick.
Yeah, Sheed would have been a fun one.
Yeah.
And Elton Brand, he wouldn't have been taken, but sneaky good career.
Yeah, people slept on that. That's true.
Elton Brand, that's for sure. Probably the biggest name left on the board was Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, nope, 4th round.
Yeah.
I'm on my bench. I don't think so.
He joined Richard Jefferson, Rashard Lewis, and Lamar Odom in the small forward category. Again, if I had another pick, probably would have taken Melo just because, if you have 9th round pick and Carmelo Anthony's still there, you probably take him. Yeah. I was thinking about him or Vince Carter, and I was like, if I want a better team guy, I'm definitely going to go Vince Carter.
I was thinking about him or Tony Parker.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of guards, so I was like,
Shooting guard got pretty thin. You had Peja Stojakovic, Michael Redd, and Jason Terry. I'm a big Peja fan. I loved Peja.
3-point chant.
He was on He was on that Kings team too, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And a young Turkaloo.
Yeah. Mike Bibby. God, those teams were good.
Man, Bobby Jackson coming off the bench.
Hey, Bobby Jackson, 6th man of the year. You heard it
Doug
here.
Christie. I don't know why he did that all the time, but he did that every time he made a shot.
And then point guards were Baron Davis, Tony Parker, Jason Kidd, Stephon Marbury, and Steve Francis. Begrudgingly, I would say Jason Kidd's probably the best of that crew, although Tony Parker, for what you might be looking for, could be the better option.
You know who I loved, man? And I hate bringing him up because he was so talented and just his career was just cut short. And I love watching him play. Brandon Roy. That dude could ball, man. Yes. For like 3 seasons, I was like, this dude is going to take off. Like, just look out. It was like 60 points per game, 19 points, 20 points, 22 points. Like, he was just – and then the way he went about his games, like game winners constantly, right? He was like that guy. And it was just fun to see him elevate, you know? But, yeah, great player. Ahead of his time.
No, it was tough, and he was a fun player to watch. Yeah, Brandon Roy, for sure. And the only other coach I had
before Dame.
What was it?
He was Dame before Dame.
That's Absolutely. Right. That's right. And the only other coach I had on the list was Doc Rivers. You guys have any other coaches that came to mind?
Nah, just Doc.
Flip Saunders was the only one I thought of.
Who's a coach that was just always flowing around? I'm trying to think of somebody.
This Vinny
like
Del.
Corbin. Remember Corbin?
Vinny Del Negro. Oh my God.
Del Negro. Yeah, he was the coach.
I mean, only other ones that come to mind are Larry Brown and Rick Carlisle. They had
I thought of Larry Brown because of the if I was going to pick Iverson, I was like, maybe I pair these two together.
Yeah, they were good. Rick Carlisle was the coach of that Pacers team when the Malice of the Palace happened, and then he took over. Yeah. He eventually took over the Mavericks after Avery Johnson, who I think Avery Johnson was the one that led them to that finals.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Avery.
Yeah, Avery Johnson. Yeah, he was interesting with the Mavericks. I think that's the only guys that really come to mind. Yeah, and then Vinny Del Negro. Well, Stan Van Gundy. Don't forget SVG.
Hey, what about young D'Antoni?
That's right.
That was his best situation. If you think about it, like, it didn't get much better than that. Like, at least talent wise.
No, that was probably the best Mr. D'Antoni will ever have it there. But
a 3-1 lead, we won't forget. People don't forget D'Antoni. 3-1 lead against the Warriors. You could have ended this dynasty.
And James Harden's point guard, he's like, damn, I miss the days of Steve Nash.
I know, right?
Dude, just unbelievable.
He would share the ball, no turnovers.
Wouldn't complain.
Play defense. I don't know. Wouldn't complain. He played he played soccer before games and get the crowd all pumped up.
Steve Nash, the man. Love Steve Nash. But yeah, so those are our teams. The poll will go up. This episode is dropping Wednesday, so the poll will probably go up on Thursday. So be on the lookout.
You're gonna win the damn poll. I can tell. People gonna look at your team. That's what people gonna look at the flashiness of your team. But hey, you know what? You know what might help me? Arenas. People gonna be like, oh yeah, arenas. Yeah, I love that guy. Hopefully,
I think people will see KG and D Wade, and they just might vote from there.
I'm not gonna win.
That's true.
Dave's not going to win because there's a very, very vocal anti-Tracy McGrady contingent out there, I'm sure.
No, the people are going to be like, Shaq and Duncan, what the hell?
I'm like, yo, this dude put Popovich 4th? Like, what?
I'm going to switch it up so it's like a Dave took Popovich 1st overall.
Put in parentheses, you can't underrate the coach of a champion.
That's right. And I will say, Kobe and Steve Nash, people might look at that and get like a little gag reflex of what they were like together when they did play. So maybe people could look at me and think that's a bad combination. So I think it's up for grabs. We'll see how it goes. And Dave and I have not fared well against the guests in the past. So I think that puts you right out in front at the beginning. So with that being said, Josue, thank you so much for joining us. Where can the people find you?
This was fun, guys. I appreciate it. Let's do something again like this, when the season starts or right before. Let's do it, man. I appreciate it.
For sure. Where can the people find you? What do you want to promote?
So I'm on Twitter at Joe_Sway. On Facebook, follow Heavy on Celtics, man. We have a lot of great content coming in between me and Sean Devaney. Obviously the NBA is right around the corner, and there hasn't been, I don't think there's been one slow day since the Celtics were eliminated. So just a lot of great content coming out. Of course, we'll get you up to speed with trade rumors, what you're hearing out there, get you up to speed with what's going on around the NBA as a whole. It's just a great follow, guys. So certainly hit us up. Heavy on Celtics. and you can catch a lot of my content on there. I write for heavy.com.
Awesome. Definitely go check it out. Josue is one of the hardest working Celtics guys out there. So go check him out.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Of course, Dave, where can we find you?
At David_Albiani.
I am at Jacob_Morocco. This podcast is at CSL Podcast on Twitter. You can go find us there. We're at CSLpodcast.com. Since the whole election thing, Dave and I were kind of off for the writing there, but now we're getting back on it. Dave and I both have stuff coming out. Probably.
That's so funny. We took the CLNS and we do a weekly show. We took the week off because of the election.
Yeah,
I thought we were the only ones. Yeah.
No, yeah, it was David. Yeah, just the week of the election, Dave and I haven't written for the site. We'll go with that. But yeah, so we'll be back with that this week. I got the first part of an interesting 4 or 5-parter drop, and it's not too revelatory, so don't think it's that great, but it'll be fun. Go check us out there. We have again our sports trivia tomorrow. We have some interesting stuff coming down the pipeline. So until later this week, we'll guys talk. Well, I can't speak apparently. We will talk to you guys then. All right, let me just end the live broadcast, and we'll be good to go.